Let's sharpen a pencil. I'm going to show you how classically trained artists sharpen their pencils. Now, here is one that is already sharpened. As you can see, it's like a needle in a way. I have exposed much of the graphite and I have buttressed the edge of the pencil by whittling it down. As you can see, this leaves the graphite very vulnerable to breakage. So if you are shading or drawing your line and you have a very light touch and you drop your pencil, it is very prone to breaking. So that's what happened to this pencil. So I'm going to show you how to sharpen a pencil. All right, so it's like whittling. So if you like to whittle wood, you'll love sharpening pencils this way. Now, why wouldn't you use just a mechanical pencil? Just trust me, it just feels different in your hand. Okay. So very cautiously approaching the removal of the wood encasing. Using more of like a scooping motion where I'm going kind of in a concave motion. You know, I don't want to keep going down. I want to go down ever so slightly and then come back up. Pushing with my thumb on the hand that's holding the pencil. Again, just ever so carefully. So I'm not really doing any pushing with the hand that's holding the blade. All of that control is with the hand that's holding the pencil. And I'm rotating the pencil as I go, exposing ever so slowly the graphite underneath. And then once you do get to that graphite, it just kind of pops off. So, you know, I just cut into that graphite a little bit. As you can see, the graphite powder there, and you want to be so careful not to do that because then it creates a breaking point, kind of like a graham cracker. The softer the graphite is, this is a 2B, the more careful you have to be and the less length that you can get. Something like a 6B or softer, I probably wouldn't even use this technique. I would just use your standard pencil sharpener. Okay, I'm just removing more of that wood encasing that's still on there. Now that's pretty good. I've exposed quite a bit of this lead. However, I want to buttress, if you want to call it buttress, but I want to have a more gradual descent to the graphite. And that's because you're able to then shade, not just with the tip of the pencil, that you can, for a great length of time, continue sharpening with your sandpaper block because you have so much exposed, but you can also shade with the side of the graphite to do what's called graining. And I'll demonstrate that on my paper here. So in order to have that ability to lay the pencil in a more parallel fashion to the paper, you need to have that gradual descent into the graphite. So that's what I'm going to do. I don't want to expose any more graphite. I just want to shave off and whittle more of that wood away. It also makes subsequent sharpenings go a little faster and easier. And it helps the artist prepare for their session. There have been times where I've prepared prior to a session and then, you know, goodness, these pencils have a tendency to, you know, arrive to the drawing session and it's already broken in the box. So it's a good way to spend your time during model breaks if you're drawing from life. All right, that is looking good. So the final step is sanding the graphite down. Again, because it is so exposed, it doesn't have that wood encasing to prevent the breakage. You'll want to proceed with caution. I'm using a sanding pad that I've made myself. There's a sanding pad I would like to purchase. I can't remember. I think it's by Nitram, Fusain Nitram. I don't even know if I'm saying that correct, so I apologize if I'm not. Maybe somebody can tell me how to pronounce that. This is another sanding block I've made. I thought it would be a great idea to use a wet sandpaper that I could then rinse off the graphite, but it's too fine, so this one hasn't worked so well for me. But this is good. It's, you know, a little short, I suppose, for the length of the graphite. So when you do this, again, just very light pressure. The softer the pencil, you might even have to use your finger to brace the graphite. But I'm going to initially here just be very careful that I don't apply too much pressure. And I'm rotating the pencil between my fingers here and going in more of an elliptical fashion. I guess it doesn't really matter, but that's what I'm just telling you how I do it. So I'm spinning in my fingers as I then sand away. Let's go to the other side here. Going to brace that with my finger. I prefer to use sandpaper that's on a piece of wood, glued on a piece of wood. The sanding pads, they develop kind of a concavity. Let me see if I can find my sanding pad that I keep on hand when I'm in a pinch. Okay, here's a sanding pad. What I like the convenience of these, and they certainly will suffice. However, as you can see, they develop kind of a concavity here, and that can create a bulge. You know, the pencil will take the form of that graphite, and I don't want that. I want a nice flat piece of graphite. Let me get out this finer sand paper here, just to finish it up. Again, being very gentle, very limited pressure. So you can save that dust if you like to use it for certain techniques. All right, so I've completed the sanding of this pencil. It's a nice sharp tip there. Might not let you on a flight with these. They look like a lethal weapon. And hopefully you will do a great drawing with these nice sharp pencils.